Hey, I'm curious if you're a dog person, and if you're a cat person, that's fine, you can keep scrolling. But if you're a dog person, I want you to stay with me for a minute because I gotta tell you, my wife Lindsay and I are big dog people. We love our English Bulldog, Knox, to death. He's like a part of our family. He's the best thing ever. In fact, whenever my wife was pregnant with our first son, we kind of had this conversation about what do we do if Knox isn't very good with our firstborn child? And I was like, well, do we get rid of our firstborn child? Because I'm definitely not getting rid of Knox. So I don't know what kind of thing we're thinking about here, but that's not gonna work, right? Like, I love our dog. We love our dog. And I thought about this. Before we lived where we live right now, we were living in this apartment complex that was very dog friendly. So there were these areas that were specifically manicured and made so that your pet could live and flourish. And I love that about this place. And so it's interesting though, I thought, I didn't just let my dog go out there. Like, I never just looked at Knox while we were inside of our apartment and I was like, hey man, you wanna go to the doggy areas today? Be back by 4, let me know how that goes. Like, that never happened. In fact, what actually happened is that I put him on a leash and I ended up walking him to those areas, which might seem really restricting. I know a lot of people, like, we value our autonomy maybe more than anything else in life. So you might be seeing me take my dog out on a leash and be thinking, how dare you? How could you, restricting his freedoms like that? But the truth of the matter is, if I were to just let him off the leash before we got to that area, there are all sorts of things that could end up happening that could lead to his destruction. That you could very easily see him get hit by a car because he seems to really gravitate towards moving vehicles. He could get attacked by another dog and he's a bigger dog, but he's not the biggest dog where we were. Or he could just simply be lost, and because of his size, he could easily have a heat stroke. It'd be something that isn't good for him. But if I kept him on that leash like I did and waited till we got to those doggy areas, then I would release him from the leash. And when I did, it was like he was in doggy heaven. He would go crazy. He would get all of his little Zooms out. They had mulch that was specifically for dogs. They had little doggy poop bags. They had treats. They had all the things that a dog could want there. It was made for him to live and flourish in that. And I think a lot of us might be like, wait a minute, you waited till you got to a fenced-in area? That's not a really great idea, Luke. That's restricting his freedoms. But I would say that actually what you find is that outside of the fence, a lot of those freedoms were not so much freedoms, they were fatal. He could easily have been harmed in a way that was unnecessary if I'd have just let him do whatever he wanted, how he wanted, when he wanted. But instead, I waited until we got to that fenced-in area because what we saw is that actually fences bring life and flourishing. And I would say the same thing is true for us, that very often we can feel like following Jesus can be restricting in all of these different ways, but actually he's given us the better way, the way in which we can live and flourish and where we can magnify him for the glory of God.